Hey, can you hear
Hello.
me better? Can you hear me better?
Yeah.
Okay. So maybe we can use the phone as like the primary audio, and like if we need to share the screen, then you can like just log back onto Zoom.
Okay.
Um, yeah. So in terms of leads this week, how many leads were you able to purchase?
I'm trying to get in there now. One second. It's got to be my internet since nothing seems to want to work right now.
Hmm.
All right, there we go. My responses. See, I reached out to. Oh, one second.
Let's see.
All right.
Right.
So I reached out to 25. See,
Okay.
going into my credit.
Hmm.
What date did we talk last?
We talked last, I believe, Monday. So we talked on, sorry, last Wednesday, the 21st.
Okay. So that got me about 300 credits. I bought 260 and then 130, and some of that was out of my pocket. And then I went ahead and bought 260 more and 130 more. So I reached out to a total of, what did I say, 25 people.
25. Okay. Out of the 25 people, how many consultation calls do you have?
Two.
Say again, I don't know if I heard you.
Just two.
Two? They just
Yeah.
weren't like responding, or what kind of happened there?
I had contact with four of them. One of them said that she had jumped the gun and she wasn't ready to hire yet.
Oh,
Another one had already found somebody.
okay,
You know.
okay. Yeah, so we gotta get those other some of those 25 people to get on the phone, or the 21 other people.
Yeah.
How often do you follow up people after like you don't make first contact?
Well, I have an auto response or a one-click response turned on with Bark, so it's like an auto-generated email that I um, wrote up in the beginning. And so I'll
Uh-huh.
send that, and then if I don't hear anything, I reach out about 24 hours later, like, hey, did you get my response on Bark? And then if I don't hear anything, I will usually text them a couple days later.
Okay. What I would do is as soon as you're calling, immediately text them as well. So like
Okay.
call, email, text immediately. Because certain people like they won't respond to a phone call, but they'll respond to a text, or they'll
Mhm.
respond to like an email. So it's like you hit all three at one time, then it's like you have the highest likelihood of like hitting them. Um, I would be more asking questions like, are they still open to hire? Are they still looking to hire like a bookkeeper or hire an accountant?
Okay.
Like that's the key message because we just need a yes. Because once we know that there's a yes, you can send a follow up text or email and say, well, would you like to set some time, to kind of schedule a call, and then make sure you're calling them at the same time.
Okay.
Do you have a good resume?
I think it's pretty good. A little
Okay.
outdated.
Okay. Um, that's one thing that you can do is you can send your resume. Um, in like a follow-up email, like, hey, I saw Embark, just attaching my resume. And
Okay.
like a misconception is that people would want you to like work for them. It's more just like if you have the experience, like you might as well use it. That's why, you work so hard in the past. Um, so that'll definitely like separate you from like a number of like the kind of starter people, who are from like different industries.
Right.
Okay. So out of those two people, like did any of them close?
No, one of them, I sent a quote to both. Um,
Yeah.
the guy didn't get back to me at all. I followed up, I think it was like a day and a half later, like, hey, did you get my quote? Let me know if you have any questions. And
Uh,
sent the same type of email to the lady, and she said that she would get back to me, and that was a Monday, I think, Friday or Monday. No, it was Monday because I talked to her on Friday, followed up on Monday.
okay. Friday. And then today is Wednesday, Monday. I'll give spoke. Okay. How many credits do you still have like out? Like how many credits do you still have kind of like remaining?
I have 2 credits left.
Okay. Yeah. So maybe we can just like shoot up some more credits this week. Yeah. So that'd be good. We have to kind of see like figure out like what happened with the because it seems like your percentage of like the ones that in the past when you would bid, it seemed like you had a higher percentage of like closes to like bid. What do you kind of attribute that to? Is it just kind of adjusting to having more money than usual?
I honestly don't know. I was trying to think of that this morning because it's a huge difference, obviously, and I'm like I feel like I was doing everything the same. Um,
Mm.
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know.
Yeah, not
Maybe
necessarily a bad thing. Yeah, not a bad thing. Like week to week, like so probably three things could have happened. So number one, what could have been is that it was just a week where maybe business owners just went on vacation and just maybe they just weren't really responsive. Like it was a week where kids started going back to school. I mean
Mhm.
that's one thing that could happen. Second thing that could happen was maybe your close rate was artificially inflated by like you just ran into let's say you're gonna close 5 out of 10 people in on average. So you just ran into those 5 people up first. So now it's that's what your actual close rate actually is.
Mhm.
That's another thing that can happen. Um, it could be that like you need to follow up a little bit more effectively. Like I'd be hitting them up on all three of those platforms, at least like how you're doing like that every 24 hours. Um, so yeah, that's how I do it. Like some people consider that chasing, but it's like it's not really chasing. A lot of people like maybe just it wasn't a good time.
Okay.
Um, yeah, and then some weeks are just gonna be off weeks. Like for example, I've had it where like I went 0 for 12 in a week, and the next week it's like I went like 6 for 6. So
Okay.
it's just kind of like the law of averages, and sometimes it's not in your favor in that week, so it's not a big deal.
Okay.
Cool. Yeah, so I would just like just kind of make sure. Are you taking like I guess like notes like each week, like kind of recapping what kind of happened?
Mm-mm.
Okay. Let's start making that one of your weekly things that like for this call you can just basically present like what happened. The reason why is 'cause I want you to be able to look back in time when maybe we have like a week or a month where things don't move as what you planned or what you hoped for, and like you don't get discouraged.
Okay.
Um, that's one thing that's gonna be like really helpful for you in the future because like yeah, you just never know. Like literally you'll have times where it's like no one buys, and then like you'll have times where everyone buys. So
Okay.
not a big deal. Cool. So main statistics on the sheet would be number one is number of leads. Two, number connected with. So basically the numbers that you have, and then you kind of have access to them, but not maybe in one place,
Okay.
right? Those are next would be total consultations. Um, four will be total closed. Five will be the revenue. So that's just cleanup value plus like maybe we'll say like 1 year, 1 year's predicted revenue.
Okay.
Number 6 will be cash collected. Because I mean, as you know, revenue and cash collected in a lot of businesses are not always exactly the same.
Right.
Cool. And the final thing would be like you need to have some sort of qualitative, like maybe like short answer box for like what happened during the week.
Okay.
And then like I used to have a program that I did. It was $18,000, and like literally once a month we would like look at this thing with me and like the coaching side of it. And like this is really all we would do, because if you can get these numbers correct and just get everything in balance, like you can do whatever numbers you want.
Okay.
Cool. Awesome. Okay, so here's another question. I know you said you were doing things about the same time. Are you doing things the same time of day that you're doing it when you first started?
That's a good question. I think I'm probably not, because I sent out more, and so I was doing it throughout the day as opposed to, well, I don't know, because as leads come in is when I would reach out, but follow up probably not.
Okay. So your goal is like you found a pattern that worked that first month. You have to replicate that pattern. So like what I would probably do, like if today, go back through, when did you purchase the lead versus like the ones that connected, like what time of day do they connect? So it's like,
Okay.
let's say like you're gonna start noticing hot zones. So it'll be like Monday at 8 a.m. So every Monday 8 a.m., as long as like it's not interfering with your family life, you kind of do what you got to do at that time period, because that's when people are going to respond.
Mhm.
Okay. And then that's the biggest thing, is like you taste the success. Now you just have to do it and just like make it permanent, essentially.
Okay.
Cool. Yeah, I think it's definitely good. Yeah, I think it's not a bad thing where like there's some weeks where it just doesn't work out the way that it used to. It's okay. It's not a big deal. Um, yeah, just be more scientific with it now.
Okay.
Cool. And then I wouldn't think of it as like you necessarily have more money to kind of spend. I would think about it where it's like you do exactly what you would have done when you didn't have money, but you just don't have to stop. So like Monday, Tuesday, you probably would have ran out of money in the past. Now you can just go Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
Okay.
Cool, cool. Yeah. And then that I think that should be enough. Yeah, you don't have to get that granular. Um, give me one sec. So the second lady said she'll get back to me. The other guy, he didn't get back to you. When you followed up with that guy, did you call him? Did you text him, email, or what was the communication follow-up process?
That was a text. So I emailed him the quote, and then I sent him a text message letting him know that I sent the quote, and then emailed him the next day.
Okay. Two things. So what is the main method of communication you guys have been using up to that point?
Text message.
Okay, so text message. Okay, interesting. You always want to follow up using like whatever is like the main thing you guys are doing. That's not bad then. Okay.
Okay.
So let's talk about follow-up real quick. Um, Let me see. Loading your notes. Oh, that's interesting. So I'm trying to share my screen. Try this. Okay. So in most stages, actually, let me even preface this by, on average, it takes between 4 to 8 outreaches once someone has your once someone has your proposal, on average for business to business sales, it takes 4 to 8 touch points for them to actually like finish, sign it, and go.
Okay.
So, due to having like bark, it does like kind of condense it a little bit. So it doesn't quite take as much time as like what it should for most business settings. So when they close right away, like you should take that as a blessing. You should not expect for that to be like the norm.
Okay.
Cool. So then like once you've like said the price and like given them a proposal, there are 4 main steps that they need to go through. Number one is called value into the void. So basically value into the void is just you have to do whatever you can to get them to reply. So whether that's like texting them once a week, text them like, once a month, or emailing them once a month, or sending them like helpful articles, newsletters, etc. Just like on a pretty consistent basis. I usually will do like maybe like every 15 days.
Mhm.
About every 15 days, I'll just do something to kind of go. One thing that's gonna be very important is it's called a 9-word email. It's very similar to what I talked about earlier when I said for the text and the emails asking, are you still looking for a bookkeeper? Okay. As long as we can get them to reply to that message eventually, then we're definitely going to be able to get them to go. In some
Okay.
cases, they might go with someone cheaper than you, and then like they'll just get back when that person actually like falters or fails. So that's important there. Next, the objection, right? So objection phase, a lot of people think objections are bad. It's actually not, because now we can know like what's actually stopping them from moving forward.
Mhm.
So there's really only 7 objections you're going to get. There's 7 objections. There are 2 to 3 smoke screens. So the difference between a smoke screen and an objection is that a smoke screen is an unclear excuse someone gives you that doesn't tell you what they really need to do. So think about it. Okay, that's a smoke screen because it's like, what aspect do they have to think about? Which of the other 7 do they actually have to think about? Or pray about it? Or let me get back to you, or send me information, right? Those are examples of smoke screen.
Okay.
Once you have the real objection, there are 7 main objections that you're going to face. So number 1 is going to be value, DIY. You're going to face money, logistic. You're going to face time. You're going to face partner slash spouse. You're going to face with one, fear. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's say smoke. Cool. So you already touched on smoke screen. Value is like, I don't want to pay this much, but I can. They just don't value what you have enough. DIY is, I could do this myself. Money logic, I can't afford it. If you notice, the word can't is important here versus for value to want. So the difference between a value objection and a money objection is just that like wanting versus, can't.
Mhm.
Now I say money logic, it's really money logistical, because like it's like a logistical kind of problem where it's like maybe they have to like save up some money to afford the cleanup. Maybe it's that their business has to grow faster so they can get more cash flow, etc. Time. Time is I don't have the time to commit to it, or I will have to dedicate too much time while working with you to do this correctly. Next thing, partner, spouse, very simple. A lot of people, you're gonna be like their partner, their business partner, their spouse, their dog, etc. That one is usually, it's kind of a smokescreen, but in some cases it's not necessarily a smokescreen. Then there's like fear slash stall. This is usually like it's very illogical reasons why someone won't go forward. Um, Fear can be the hardest one to overcome sometimes if you don't know what you're doing because it doesn't appear logical in the beginning. Because it's like it just everything they said at the beginning of the call, everything they say at the end is like opposite. Like they said they didn't have enough time to do it. Now it's, oh well, I could find the time to do it myself, kind of thing. So it's hard if you don't know how to like think through it and like get them to actually tell you. But once you can get someone to tell you that they are nervous and that they are like fearful, it is very easy to close because then there's two things you can do. You can either use a lot of time when you're talking to them, just keep just talking to them until they're like, okay, I want to go, or you can do motivational speeches like, like I understand, like things are a little bit, nerve wracking. Spending $20,000 for a cleanup project and we haven't worked together yet, it can be like really, really overwhelming and blah 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 blah. We can give you like specific things to say with that, but the bottom line for that is just more about like encouraging people and just being patient with them because you don't really know exactly what they went through or like if someone screwed up their books or just etc. You generally won't get very many fear-based objections. That was the other one. Fear, a subset of fear is going to be trust. So there's a couple that you should never get at the end of the call. You should never get a trust objection. You should never get a DIY objection. You should never get you will get them, but you shouldn't value objection. Because if you overcome this in the beginning, DIY, like, why can't you do this on your own? Or you get them to tell you that they can't do it on their own, okay, that shouldn't come up. Or if it's trust, that's just a matter of like you didn't send your resume beforehand, you didn't talk really to the value, you didn't really show that you were like in accounting or whatever. So just by naturally talking, you should not really have a trust objection. You also, yeah, you might get some time objections, like just you personally, but you probably shouldn't. The objection where it's like I'll have to dedicate too much time working with this or with you to do this correctly, like you probably shouldn't get that because you basically need to talk about like your past experiences with clients and like how easy it's been for them to work together with you and how automated it essentially is. So they don't think that they've taken like a lot of time with you to make things work. This time I don't have the time to commit to it, or another timing thing is like vacation. This one, this one's 50-50. Because a logical argument you can make is, well, why don't we get started ASAP? While you're on vacation, I can take care of this for you. Some people will do that. Some people won't do that. They're like, oh, I want to wait till I get back to kind of start off fresh. So some of these objections, like, you can always do your best to like handle the objections before they come up, but it's like sometimes they're just going to come up no matter what you do. Especially like I found that like so 80% of people are closable at any given time if they get on the phone with you. But there's like 20% of people that just either can't buy or just won't buy. So you can say everything right, handle every objection, a person's still not closed for whatever reason. The way you start to like minimize that is by like having them like go through your marketing stuff before the call, but with a process like Bark, you just don't really have that luxury in a lot of cases because it's like you only have like one day beforehand to actually like get them to go. So That's the tough part about this. But does that kind of make sense as far as objections?
Mhm.
Cool. Next is negotiation. So I think you'd be pretty good at negotiation. Uh, it doesn't always mean that you have to like lower your price. It could be that you offer something else that you'll do as an added bonus. It could be that maybe they can't afford to pay the whole cleanup in one payment, so instead you do like a payment plan of like 2 pay, 3 pay, 4 pay, 5 pay, etc. Whatever you think they're actually good for after seeing their books. Um, you could do a negotiation where they put a deposit down and then they do like their start day like a month from now. That's also another thing you could do.
Okay.
Or they can fill out the contract. If you ever have someone fill out a contract but they haven't really agreed to get started with you right away, I would actually see if you can take down a deposit, right? So I can't remember if your payment processor saves the cards on file. I do a deposit because then you actually can pull the payments from them when whatever criteria or time frame is met.
Okay. Yeah, I just usually tell people that I'll get started once the contract is signed and invoice is paid.
Yeah, but I'm saying for the negotiation, if they want to do like a delayed payment date, yeah.
Mhm. Okay.
But I'm just giving you tactics to get the deal signed faster,
Okay.
is what I'm saying. Not necessarily stuff that like like I'm not talking like underlying process. Just like weird things kind of happen, like especially if they do like the vacation thing, or let's say that someone is trying to open their business but they haven't officially opened yet. Okay, well why don't we sign the contract? I can get some preliminary stuff get like moving forward. You can put down like a deposit of $85, right? That's what your hourly rate is. For the first hour, so we get everything moving. I can just like kind of get started, and then we can officially get started a month from now, right?
Okay.
Because once someone pays you one time, now they're working with you forever. Cool. After that, contract and cash. I think as we talked about, 50% of people feel the deal starts when the contract is signed. 50% of people feel that the deal is or the agreement is made when the cash is paid. So ideally, you're doing it the same, like one right after the other. I would not do like an all-in-one thing where it's like you have the payment plus the contract in like the same like. Are you familiar with HoneyBooks?
For the contract, yeah.
Yeah, so it's like a payment processor where like they sign the contract and pay the money at the same time. I like having both of them, like I'll send the contract and then the payment at the same time in two separate emails. So I know they've actually seen this and I know that they've actually done this. It holds up better in like court, it holds up better for collections, et cetera, et cetera.
Okay.
Cool. So yeah, so I think that's what we need. I think so today we talked about follow-up process. We talked about really hitting people on all three of the platforms at one time. We talked about another thing we talked about. We talked about the different phases of closing. We also talked about like why our time frame should be every 4 to 8 touch points. And I'm just repeating this so like at the end of the call you can kind of get a note for. I'm gonna send you a copy of the recording probably. 'Cause I kind of recorded the video on Zoom, but the phone call is definitely recorded, so should work.
Okay.
Cool. So I think that should be good for this week. I think you'll definitely be good. And plus today's only Wednesday. You should also see like what day in the past did most people close for you.
Okay.
Okay, so like you should just be like a scientist. Like you need to know like when on average does a lead like from when you buy the lead to when you first contact, is that like 1 day, 2 day, 3 day? Then from when you contact to when you send your proposal, is that 1 day, 2 day, 3 day? Then from when you send the proposal, when do they actually like close officially, right? So we
Okay.
can tell like, okay, it takes me 3 days from when someone sees my proposal versus when they like close. And based on that, if now it's 4 days after they've seen your proposal, they haven't closed, that means something abnormal is happening. So we have to go and like, now we know we need to follow up with them because there's a hidden objection we didn't hit before.
Okay.
Cool. So yeah, I definitely think this is moving forward well. Um, just keep some things going. I think you should be good. Also, you asked about the CRM. So earlier in the week, when you're talking about CRM, are you talking about like to actually make the calls out of, or are you talking about just to store kind of like the data?
Just to store data, just, when I get the lead from Bark, I get their email and their phone number and just, I know you said spreadsheet, so that's what I planned on doing, but just, to keep their name, their number, their email, what day I contacted them, when I contacted them, how I contacted them, and when I plan to follow up again.
What was that tracking? Give me a second. Okay. So what I'll give you access to is this spreadsheet. So just a very, very simple spreadsheet. Wait, why is that happening? One sec. Continue. Screens. Okay. Screen. Very simple. Book call date, prospect, source, social media, second channel, et cetera, et cetera.
Okay.
You don't necessarily need to keep track of one second, let me see if I can give you a good one. Illustrator BTT. I made a specific one for Bark. So Control C. So this one should. Okay. So this should be good-ish. This should work. Okay. So I'll email this to you. Make a copy of it for yourself. And
Okay.
literally the page is called Jessica Lead Tracker. Actually, I'll just make one with a copy for you right now since we have the time. Jessica. Okay. I'm just gonna hide these other sheets because it just doesn't make sense. But, cool. So this should be just super super simple for you.
Okay.
And it's not that CRMs are bad or anything like that. It's just that you want to keep things as simple as possible as long as you can because it's just a lot of stuff to think about. Um, I only have a CRM because I use it for client communication. Here, check. But for everything outside of client communication storage, I use spreadsheets. Uh, So like, let's say that we're gonna be on this spreadsheet. So like, this spreadsheet basically tracks every single call that we've done. I think since 2020. I can tell the outcome of every single call, whether they've closed or they haven't closed. Thousands and thousands of calls. Same thing with just different spreadsheets. Everything is like just spreadsheet based because it's just like it just gives you so many abilities, like just calculate like the records of each person.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, and plus like you don't necessarily need to store the email and like the phone number of the person right away because as long as you have it, like I mean you could like as long as you have at least a phone number, then you're good because then like if you don't store the email, you can always just go back in the bar and just hit the update the email thing because it automatically generates the emails for you. So it's not that important to like keep the email address.
Mhm.
But yeah, cool. Are there any questions?
Just one. So, specifically the one lead that didn't respond. Um, let's see, I had it pulled up. So I emailed him his quote. He didn't respond. So then I texted him a follow-up. Hey, sent it. Did you get it? Let me know if you have questions. Now I would text him again and be like, hey, are you still looking?
I'd probably call him,
Call.
call him on the phone, hit him with the email, follow up, be like, hey, did this give you some problems opening up? Um, for the immediate follow up, if you do like text messages, say like, oh, I just want to make sure that you received it because my emails have been on the frick sheet lately.
Mhm.
Just like something along the lines of like you're contacting him just to like make sure he got it because some kind of technology glitch is like happening.
Yeah.
Do you have what did you use to send the engagement letter? Like the software, email, or like what did you send?
I sent a proposal on a spreadsheet through his email.
Okay. I would probably use something like DocuSign.
Mm, okay.
So I think and I believe with DocuSign like it'll let you like send like five contracts out a month for free or whatever. The reason why is because like number one, DocuSign automatically sends these reminders. Number
Okay.
one. And number two, it can actually show you if the person viewed it and how many times they viewed it,
Awesome.
right? Because right now you just don't really know.
Right.
Yeah, I would not send the proposal on like a spreadsheet. Not because like a spreadsheet's bad for this, but yeah. Wait. So what is your proposal even like? Do you have a proposal template you've been sending people after the call? Like,
I did for him. Usually it's a proposal packet, but his was just a he sold his business or merged his business and needed the first 8 months of the year like a catch up just to file his portion of the taxes. So it was a little different.
never different. It's not like never treat things like they're different. Like you need to have a process as much as possible.
Okay.
Because it's like, and I'm not like getting on you about that. Like every person that I ever work with in this program says like it's different. It's never different. It's just you haven't had it enough times to know like that's the pattern.
Right.
So yeah,
Okay.
stick to your pattern as much as possible. You're good. That's how I'd approach him. Yep. So I would email him, I would text him, and I would call him.
Okay.
The text message is just about some kind of technical glitch that happens with your email. Cool. Awesome. Anything else I can help you with?
No, that's it.
Cool. Yeah, so we can send some more leads, some another invoice or whatever, for later on today. And then I want this next week for and everything you spend too, you should be going back through every lead you have every week.
Mhm.
Like they're not dead just because like they haven't bought from you yet. Unless they like close their Bark account. That's a little different. But yeah.
Okay.
Cool. Awesome. Well, I will talk to you soon, okay?
Sounds good. Thank you.
You're welcome. Have a good one. Bye.
You too.